Ladies, let's be real. Nothing stirs up frustration quite like a man who's playing hard to get. The silence, the mixed signals, the occasional breadcrumbs of attention, it's maddening. You start questioning everything. Did I say the wrong thing? Should I text him again? Is it me? Let me stop you right there, because here's the truth. It's not you. It's a game, a calculated one, and trust me, you're not the first or the last to be caught in it. But here's the kicker. The problem isn't him playing hard to get. The real issue is how we, as women, respond to it. Most of us fall into the trap of overthinking, overgiving, or worst of all, overchasing. And why wouldn't we? Society has conditioned us to believe that if a man pulls away, it's our job to win him back, to prove we're worth it. What a myth. Let me share a little secret. The moment you flip the script, the moment you stop chasing and start standing in your power, everything changes. This isn't about revenge in the traditional sense. No plotting or pettiness here. It's about reclaiming your dignity and becoming the high-value woman who commands respect, not confusion. Today, I'm going to guide you through 7 transformative steps to handle a man who's playing hard to get. These aren't cheap tricks or manipulative tactics. They're rooted in personal growth, confidence, and the timeless wisdom of Dark Stoic Psychology and Stoicism. By the end of this journey, you'll not only know how to navigate his behavior, but also how to elevate yourself in the process. And trust me, by doing so, you'll captivate his attention or realize he was never worth yours to begin with. So, are you ready to discover the secrets that could transform not just how you approach this situation, but how you approach all your relationships? Let's dive in. And stick around to the end. I'll share the ultimate mindset shift that will change how you view every interaction moving forward. 1. Focus on your value first. Let's start with the most important step, you. Yes, you. Because when a man pulls back or plays hard to get, the first instinct is often to hyper-focus on him, his actions, his thoughts, his intentions. But let me challenge you with this. What if, instead of asking why he's distant, you asked yourself, how can I become so magnetic, so self-assured, that his behavior no longer rattles me? This isn't just about distracting yourself, it's about realigning with your worth. When you shift the spotlight inward, you reclaim control over the narrative. Think about it. When was the last time you prioritized yourself fully, without waiting for someone else's validation? This is your moment to do exactly that. Here's the truth. High-value women don't chase, they attract. And attraction doesn't come from desperately seeking attention. It comes from living a life that's so full, so vibrant, that others naturally gravitate toward it. What does that look like for you? Maybe it's diving into your career, reigniting a passion project, or spending more time with friends who uplift you. It's about becoming the woman who doesn't wait for someone else to make her life exciting. She creates excitement all on her own. Now, you might be wondering, will this really work? Won't he just forget about me if I stop chasing? Oh, my dear, that's where the magic lies. When you focus on yourself, you exude a quiet confidence that's impossible to ignore. It's the essence of Stoicism, mastering your own emotions and actions instead of reacting to external forces. This doesn't mean playing games or pretending you don't care. It means genuinely prioritizing your well-being above all else. Let's take it a step further. Imagine you're so engrossed in your own life that his mixed signals barely register. You're not ignoring him out of spite. You're simply too busy being fabulous to obsess over his games. What happens then? He starts noticing. Why? Because nothing intrigues a man more than a woman who's self-sufficient, who doesn't need him to complete her but chooses to share her life with him when he's worthy. Here's a challenge for you. Write down 3 areas of your life that you've been neglecting because of this situation. Is it your fitness routine? Your creative pursuits? Time with loved ones? Now, commit to investing in those areas this week. Not because it'll make him notice you, but because it'll remind you of your own brilliance. Remember, the goal isn't to play hard to get in return. It's to genuinely elevate yourself to a place where his games no longer affect you. This is where Dark Stoic Psychology comes into play. By mastering your own mind, you become untouchable. And when you're untouchable, you're irresistible. So, ladies, here's the question. What's one thing you can do today to realign with your worth? How will you pour into yourself, not to make him chase, but to remind yourself of the queen you are? Drop your answers in the comments, and let's support each other on this journey to self-empowerment. Stay tuned for step 2. It's where we'll learn how to match his energy and stop overextending. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. 2. Match his energy, don't overextend. Let me ask you something. How many times have you found yourself overthinking every text, every emoji, every slight pause in his response? How often have you stayed up late, rewriting a message just to make sure it comes across as cool, but not too eager? We've all been there, analysing his every move like a detective trying to crack a code. But here's the truth, ladies. You're not meant to decode his intentions. You're meant to reflect his energy. Think of it like this. If he's acting distant, why are you leaning in? If he's vague, why are you crystal clear? High-value women don't overextend themselves. They understand that relationships are a dance, not a solo performance. When you start matching his energy instead of chasing, you shift the dynamic entirely. Let me explain how. The first step is to pause and observe. If he's slow to respond, resist the urge to send a follow-up text. If he's ambiguous about making plans, don't fill in the gaps with suggestions or overcommit to his schedule. Reflect his energy with quiet confidence. This doesn't mean playing games. It means staying centered in your own worth and letting him step up if he's truly interested. Here's where it gets interesting. When you stop overextending, you create space for him to step into. And guess what? That space is where the magic happens. Men are wired to pursue, but when you're always available, always chasing, you rob him of the opportunity to show his interest. Matching his energy gives him the chance to rise to your level, to put in the effort that you truly deserve. But let's take this deeper. Why do we overextend in the first place? It's because we've been conditioned to believe that effort equals value. We think, if I show him how much I care, he'll realize how amazing I am. The reality? Overextending only makes you seem overly eager, which diminishes your allure. High-value women don't chase, they attract. They embody stoicism by staying calm, composed, and unbothered by external actions. Imagine this scenario. He takes hours to reply to your text. Instead of agonizing over what he might be thinking, you go about your day. You work on your projects, hit the gym, grab coffee with a friend, whatever makes you feel fulfilled. By the time he finally responds, you're so immersed in your own life that his delay doesn't even register as significant. And trust me, nothing intrigues a man more than a woman who doesn't make him the center of her universe. But let's address the fear that often comes up. What if matching his energy makes him lose interest? Let me flip that around. If your absence makes him lose interest, was he ever genuinely invested? A man who values you will notice when you pull back, and he'll adjust accordingly. And if he doesn't, well, you've just saved yourself from wasting time on someone who wasn't worth it. This isn't about withdrawing affection or being cold, it's about creating balance. When you stop overextending, you reclaim your emotional equilibrium. You no longer feel drained or anxious because you're not pouring energy into a one-sided dynamic. Instead, you're calmly holding your ground, which exudes strength and mystery, two traits that are undeniably magnetic. Now, let's get practical. The next time you find yourself tempted to overextend, ask yourself this: am I matching his energy, or am I overcompensating? If it's the latter, pause. Breathe. Redirect your focus to something that lights you up, whether it's a hobby, a workout, or even a quiet moment of self-reflection. Remember, your energy is a gift, and not everyone deserves it. Here's another tip. Notice how he reacts when you stop overextending. Does he make an effort to reach out more consistently? Does he clarify his intentions? Or does he let the connection fizzle? His response will tell you everything you need to know about his level of interest and emotional maturity. And no matter what, you'll come out on top because you stayed true to yourself. Let's bring this home with a challenge. For the next week, commit to matching his energy. No more double texting, over-explaining, or overthinking. Just reflect what he gives you and see how it shifts the dynamic. You might be surprised by how powerful this simple adjustment can be. If this advice resonates with you, I want to hear from you. Like and comment number 1 below if you're ready to stop overextending and start matching energy like the high-value woman you are. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more transformative insights rooted in timeless principles like Dark Stoic Psychology and Stoicism. Let's keep this journey going together, because your growth is worth it. Ready for the next step? Stay tuned, because in the upcoming section, we'll uncover how to set boundaries with class, a skill every high-value woman needs in her toolkit. You won't want to miss it. 3. Set clear boundaries with class. Picture this. He's sending mixed signals, making plans one minute, cancelling the next. You feel like you're standing on shifting sands, unsure of where you stand. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth. A man can only treat you as inconsistently as you allow. That's why setting boundaries is not just an option, it's a necessity. Boundaries are not about controlling his actions, they're about defining your expectations and making it clear how you expect to be treated. The beauty of boundaries is that they're rooted in self-respect, not ultimatums or emotional outbursts. They allow you to stay composed and dignified while communicating your worth. The first step to setting boundaries is recognizing your own limits. What behaviors are you willing to accept? Where do you draw the line? For example, if he's consistently late for plans or cancels without valid reasons, it's time to decide. Are you okay with this? Or does it chip away at your sense of value? Being a high-value woman means being crystal clear about what you deserve and not compromising on that standard. Now, let's talk about the art of setting boundaries without sounding harsh or confrontational. The secret lies in the tone. When you approach the conversation with calm confidence, it's not about creating tension but about fostering clarity. Consider this example. He cancels plans last minute with a flimsy excuse. Instead of responding with frustration or silence, you say, "I understand things come up, but I value my time and prefer communication. Let's plan for when you're sure you can commit." Do you see the difference? You're not attacking him, but you're also not letting his behavior slide. You're standing firm in your expectations while leaving the door open for him to rise to the occasion. Another critical aspect of boundaries is follow-through. Words are powerful, but actions seal the deal. If you've communicated your expectations and he continues to disregard them, it's essential to show that you mean what you say. For instance, if he repeatedly disrespects your time, you may need to step back from engaging with him. This isn't about punishing him, it's about prioritizing your peace and demonstrating that your standards are non-negotiable. Some women worry that setting boundaries will push a man away. Here's the truth. Boundaries don't repel the right man, they attract him. A high-value man respects a woman who knows her worth and isn't afraid to uphold it. If he's truly interested, he'll take your boundaries as a cue to step up. And if he doesn't, well, you've just saved yourself from investing in someone who isn't aligned with your value system. Let's also address the deeper psychological layer here. When you set boundaries, you're not just sending a message to him. You're sending a message to yourself. You're affirming your self-worth and reinforcing the belief that you deserve mutual respect and effort. This is a cornerstone of Dark Stoic Psychology, where the focus is on mastering your own emotional responses and staying aligned with your values. Here's an exercise for you. Reflect on a recent situation where you felt disrespected or undervalued. What boundary could you have set to protect your peace? Now, imagine how that scenario might have played out differently if you had calmly communicated your expectations. This kind of self-reflection is crucial for building the confidence to set boundaries moving forward. Boundaries are also about creating balance. They prevent you from overgiving or becoming a doormat in a relationship. When you have clear limits, you create space for mutual effort and reciprocity. I think of it like a dance. You take a step, he takes a step, and together you create a rhythm that works for both of you. If he's not willing to match your energy, then it's clear he's not ready for the kind of relationship you're building. Lastly, remember that setting boundaries isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. As the relationship evolves, so do your needs and expectations. Don't be afraid to revisit conversations and recalibrate when necessary. Boundaries aren't rigid walls, they're flexible guidelines that adapt to the context while staying true to your core values. The power of boundaries lies in their simplicity. They don't need to be dramatic or complicated. A simple, firm statement can work wonders in setting the tone for how you expect to be treated. It's not about controlling him. It's about respecting yourself. In the end, setting boundaries is one of the most empowering acts of self-love. It's a declaration that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable and should be treated as such. When you master this skill, you not only navigate relationships with grace, but also reinforce your inner strength, an essential element of stoicism and personal growth. As you move forward, ask yourself, what boundaries have I been hesitant to set, and how can I begin to establish them with confidence and class? Let that question guide you as you continue to embrace your worth and reclaim your power. Stay tuned for the next step, where we'll dive into the art of rewarding effort, not excuses, a game-changing mindset for high-value women. 4. Reward effort, not excuses. Ladies, let me ask you this. How many times have you given someone a free pass? Maybe he cancelled plans last minute, but he sounded so sorry. Or perhaps he disappeared for a week but came back with a sweet text, and you thought, well, at least he reached out. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the hard truth. Excuses are not effort. And when you reward them, you're teaching him that you'll settle for less. A high-value woman knows the difference between words and actions. She understands that real effort is consistent, intentional, and visible, not just promises or apologies wrapped in charm. When you learn to reward effort instead of falling for excuses, you take back control of the narrative. Let's break this down. First, let's address the psychology behind excuses. Many men who play hard to get rely on just enough effort to keep you hooked. They know how to dangle a carrot, just enough attention to make you think they're invested, but not enough to actually meet your standards. This is where you need to channel Dark Stoic Psychology. Instead of reacting to his words, focus solely on his actions. Does his behavior align with his promises? Is he putting in consistent effort, or is he just showing up when it's convenient? Imagine this scenario. He tells you he wants to see you, but he's always vague about making plans. One week it's, let's hang out soon, and the next it's radio silence. In moments like these, it's tempting to fill the gaps yourself. Maybe you suggest a day, a time, or try to pin him down. But here's the thing. If he's truly interested, he'll make the effort to lock in those plans himself. By stepping back and letting him take the lead, you give him the chance to prove his interest or reveal his lack of it. Now, you might be wondering, what if I scare him off by not meeting him halfway? Let me flip that question around. Why would you want someone in your life who can't meet you halfway? A man who values you will make the effort, and when he does, that's what you reward. Rewarding effort isn't about playing hard to get, it's about reinforcing the behavior you want to see. When he follows through, show genuine appreciation. For example, If he takes the time to plan a thoughtful date, acknowledge it with a simple, "I really enjoyed that. Thank you for putting in the effort." It's not about overpraising him. It's about creating a positive feedback loop that encourages mutual effort. But let's also talk about what not to do. When he offers an excuse for not showing up, don't respond with frustration or endless explanations. Instead, calmly state your boundaries. "I appreciate your honesty, but I value consistency, and I need to know I can rely on you." This isn't about punishing him, it's about setting the tone for how you expect to be treated. Here's where the magic happens. When you stop rewarding excuses, you become a mirror. You reflect his behavior back to him, showing him what he needs to improve if he wants to be in your life. And this isn't just about him, it's about you reclaiming your time and energy. When you stop wasting it on empty promises, you have more to invest in the things and people that truly matter. Now, let's get practical. The next time he offers an excuse, pause before you respond. Ask yourself, does this align with the kind of relationship I want? If the answer is no, don't be afraid to step back. Your silence, your calm detachment, speaks volumes. It's a reminder that your attention is earned, not freely given. I know this can feel challenging, especially if you've been conditioned to be accommodating or forgiving. But remember this, you're not being difficult or demanding, you're setting a standard. A high-value woman doesn't lower her expectations to keep someone around. She raises them and lets the right person rise to meet her. Let's put this into action. Reflect on a recent interaction where you accepted an excuse instead of rewarding effort. How could you have responded differently? This kind of reflection isn't about regret, it's about growth. It's about learning to align your actions with your values so that you attract relationships that uplift you. Before we move on, I want to hear from you. Like and comment number 1 if you're ready to start rewarding effort and stop accepting excuses. Your standards are your power, and when you hold on to them, you attract the respect and effort you deserve. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more empowering insights rooted in stoicism and personal growth. This is just the beginning of your journey to becoming the high-value woman you're meant to be. Up next, we'll explore how to ignore his games and reclaim your energy, because your time is too precious to waste on anyone who isn't all in. 5. Ignore his games and focus on yourself. There's a peculiar kind of power in silence, isn't there? When someone expects a reaction, anger, frustration, desperation, and instead they're met with calm indifference, the dynamic shifts entirely. This is the essence of ignoring his games. It's not about pretending to be unbothered. It's about genuinely redirecting your energy to where it matters most, yourself. Let's dive into why this works so profoundly. Men who play hard to get often thrive on the chase. The validation, the idea that they hold the upper hand. They send mixed signals not because they're confused, but because they enjoy seeing you invest more effort than they're willing to. Every time you react, whether by texting first, seeking clarity, or showing frustration, you're feeding the dynamic they've created. But what happens when you stop playing along? When you withdraw your energy, something remarkable occurs. Suddenly, the game they're playing collapses because you're no longer a participant. Your silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to face their own behavior. Here's the truth. Ignoring his games isn't about manipulation or revenge. It's about reclaiming your mental and emotional bandwidth. Every minute you spend analyzing his actions is a minute you could invest in yourself, in your goals, your passions, your peace. This isn't avoidance, it's empowerment. Let's paint a picture. Imagine he sent you a cryptic message, something vague enough to pique your interest, but not substantial enough to merit a real response. Instead of replying immediately or dissecting his words with your friends, you pause. You set the phone down. Maybe you take a yoga class, dive into a project, or call a friend who always lifts your spirits. When you finally return to that message, you read it with fresh eyes, realizing it doesn't warrant the energy you once thought it did. That's the power of focusing on yourself. But ignoring his games goes beyond just texting. It's about choosing not to engage with behaviors that disrespect your time or emotional well-being. Maybe he's habitually late to plans or cancels at the last minute. Instead of calling him out every time you shift your approach, you stop rearranging your schedule to accommodate his inconsistency. You move forward with your plans, whether or not he shows up. Your actions quietly but firmly communicate, "I don't wait for people who don't value my time." This approach is deeply rooted in the principles of Dark Stoic Psychology and Stoicism. The Stoics believed in controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. You can't control his games, but you can control how you respond to them. By choosing not to react, you preserve your peace and maintain your dignity. Some may worry that ignoring his games will push him away, but here's the reality. If he's playing games, he's already halfway out the door emotionally. Your silence isn't pushing him away. It's giving him the space to decide whether he's ready to step up or step out. And if he chooses the latter, that's a blessing in disguise, because it frees you to invest in someone who matches your energy. Ignoring his games also allows you to focus on becoming the best version of yourself. This isn't about making him jealous or proving a point, it's about genuine self-improvement. When you channel your energy into personal growth, you become magnetic, not just to him but to everyone around you. Confidence, independence, and a sense of purpose are irresistibly attractive. Here's another powerful truth. When you stop playing his games, you become unpredictable. He's no longer sure where he stands with you. And that uncertainty is compelling. Men who play hard to get often rely on predictability. They know you'll text back, they know you'll try to fix things, they know you'll be there waiting. But when you step off the predictable path, you shift the dynamic. Suddenly, he's the one wondering, questioning, chasing. This isn't about creating mystery for the sake of intrigue. It's about living your life so fully and authentically that your actions naturally exude an air of self-sufficiency. You don't have to manufacture a sense of detachment. It's already there because your priorities have shifted. So, how do you implement this? Start by identifying the behaviors that feel like games, mixed signals, inconsistent communication, vague promises. Then decide how you'll respond, or rather, how you won't. Maybe it means waiting longer to reply to his texts. Maybe it means saying no to last-minute plans. Maybe it means prioritizing yourself even when he tries to pull you back in. As you practice this, you'll notice something powerful. Your energy will start to feel lighter. When you're no longer tethered to his whims, you'll find more time for the things and people that truly matter. You'll laugh more, dream more, and feel more aligned with your own worth. This is the essence of Stoicism, finding peace and strength in focusing on what you can control, yourself. Finally, let's address the fear of losing him. If ignoring his games causes him to drift away, that's not a loss, it's clarity. It's a sign that he wasn't invested enough to meet your standards, and that's not someone you want in your life. On the flip side, if he starts stepping up, being consistent, and showing genuine effort, you've set the stage for a healthier dynamic moving forward. In the end, ignoring his games isn't just a strategy, it's a mindset. It's a declaration that you value yourself too much to engage in behavior that doesn't serve you. It's about shifting the focus back to where it belongs, on living a life so vibrant and fulfilling that you're the one calling the shots. So, what are you waiting for? It's time to reclaim your energy, your power, and your peace. Stay tuned for the next step, where we'll explore letting him feel the weight of your absence. 6. Let him realize what he's missing. Have you ever noticed how people only seem to truly appreciate something once it's gone? A favorite coffee shop closes, and suddenly, they wish they'd gone more often. A treasured friend moves away, and they realize how much their presence meant. The same principle applies in relationships. When you let him feel the weight of your absence, you create space for him to recognize your value. But here's the thing. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about understanding a fundamental truth. People prioritize what they fear losing. If he's been taking your time, energy, and attention for granted, it's time to step back and let him see what life looks like without them. Trust me, if you've been a source of light, warmth, and support in his life, your absence will be felt like a cold gust of wind. So how do you do this in a way that's both dignified and effective? Let's start with the most important step: detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop over-investing. Detachment is about prioritizing your peace over his behavior. It's the core of Stoicism, which teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, our emotions, and release the rest. By stepping back, you're not punishing him, you're reclaiming your energy. Imagine this. Instead of responding immediately to his sporadic texts or trying to fix his inconsistent behavior, you redirect your focus. You're still polite, even warm, but you're not as readily available. Your responses become shorter, your time more precious. You're subtly communicating, "I'm here, but I'm not waiting." This shift in energy is powerful because it disrupts the dynamic he's come to expect. Here's a scenario to consider. Let's say he cancels plans for the third time with a vague excuse. Instead of expressing disappointment or trying to reschedule, you simply say, "That's okay. Let's catch up another time." And then you don't reach out again. The ball is now firmly in his court, and he's left to decide. Does he value you enough to step up, or will he let the connection fade? Either way, you win, because you've shown him that you won't settle for half-hearted effort. What makes this approach so effective is the element of mystery it creates. When you stop being predictable, you become intriguing. He starts to wonder, why isn't she chasing? Is she losing interest? Is someone else catching her attention? This isn't about playing hard to get, it's about genuinely living your life in a way that doesn't revolve around his games. And let's be real, when you're focused on your own growth and happiness, you don't have time to play by anyone else's rules. Now, let's address the emotional side of this. Pulling back can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to giving. But here's the truth. Stepping back isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's a reminder to yourself that your energy is valuable and shouldn't be spent on someone who isn't meeting you halfway. When you let him feel your absence, you're not just teaching him a lesson, you're reinforcing your own self-worth. And here's where Dark Stoic Psychology comes into play. Detachment isn't about shutting down emotionally, it's about maintaining control over your own happiness. By stepping back, you're demonstrating that your peace doesn't depend on his presence. This quiet confidence is magnetic, and it often prompts a shift in the other person's behavior. When he realizes that your world doesn't revolve around him, he's forced to confront his own actions, or lack thereof. The key to letting him feel your absence is consistency. It's not enough to pull back for a day or two. You need to maintain this new dynamic until he demonstrates real change. If he reaches out, be gracious but firm. If he steps up, reward the effort. But if he continues to waver, stay your course. Remember, this isn't about convincing him of your worth, it's about living in alignment with it. Let's circle back to the big picture. What does life look like when you let him feel your absence? For starters, you'll find yourself with more time and energy to invest in the things that truly matter, your passions, your goals, your relationships with people who uplift and inspire you. You'll also notice a shift in how you see yourself. When you stop seeking validation from someone who's playing games, you start to recognize your own intrinsic value. This is where true confidence comes from, not from his approval, but from your own self-affirmation. Here's a practical exercise to help you implement this step. Write down 3 things you love doing, but haven't prioritized lately. Maybe it's hitting the gym, starting a new book, or planning a trip with friends. Now, commit to diving into those activities this week. Not only will this help you shift your focus, but it'll also remind you of how fulfilling life can be when you're pouring energy into yourself. Before we move on, I want to hear from you. Like and comment number 1 below if you're ready to let him feel your absence and reclaim your energy. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more insights rooted in Stoicism and personal empowerment. Coming up next, the final step, where we'll explore how to decide if he's truly worth your time or if it's time to walk away with your head held high. Stay tuned, because this is where everything comes together. 7. Decide if he's worth it and walk away if necessary. Every story has a moment of reckoning, a point where the heroine must decide whether to stay and fight or leave and reclaim her freedom. In the story of navigating a man who's playing hard to get, that moment is now. This is where you step back, evaluate his behavior, and make a choice that honors your worth. Is he truly worth your time, energy, and emotional investment? Or is it time to walk away and make space for something better? This isn't an easy decision. Walking away can feel like admitting defeat, but in reality, it's the ultimate declaration of self-respect. It's not about giving up, it's about letting go of what no longer serves you. And sometimes, letting go is the most courageous thing you can do. Let's begin with the evaluation process. Ask yourself, what has he shown me through his actions? Not his words, his charm, or his potential, his actual, consistent behavior. Has he put in the effort to meet you halfway? Has he respected your boundaries and prioritized your connection? Or has he left you feeling uncertain, undervalued, and unfulfilled? The answers to these questions will guide you. Now, let's get brutally honest. If his behavior has been inconsistent or dismissive, why are you still holding on? Is it because you believe he'll change? Or because you fear being alone? These are valid feelings, but they shouldn't dictate your decisions. Holding on to someone who isn't meeting your standards doesn't protect you from loneliness, it prolongs it. Real connection thrives on mutual effort, not one-sided hope. Here's a powerful exercise. Imagine your best friend is in your shoes. She's been dealing with a man who's distant, inconsistent, and half-hearted. What would you tell her? Would you encourage her to keep trying, or would you remind her that she deserves better? Sometimes it's easier to see the truth when we step outside our own emotions. Apply that same clarity to yourself. Deciding to walk away isn't just about him. It's about what you're saying to yourself. Every time you stay in a situation that doesn't align with your worth, you're reinforcing a narrative that you don't deserve more. But every time you choose to walk away from what isn't right, you're sending a powerful message to yourself and the world. I value myself too much to settle. Walking away doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to make a grand statement or demand closure. Sometimes the most powerful exits are quiet. You simply stop engaging, stop chasing, stop investing. You let your absence speak for itself, and you focus on building the life you deserve. This approach isn't cold, it's dignified. It's rooted in Stoicism, which teaches us to act with calm clarity and stay true to our values. But let's address the fear. What if you walk away and he doesn't chase you? What if he doesn't realize what he's lost? Here's the hard truth. If he doesn't chase you, he was never truly invested. And if he doesn't realize your worth, he was never capable of appreciating it. Your value isn't determined by someone else's recognition of it. It exists independently, unshaken by his actions or lack thereof. Walking away also creates space for something new, something better. When you release what isn't working, you make room for connections that align with your worth. This isn't just about romantic relationships, it's about every area of your life. By letting go of what drains you, you attract what energizes you. Think of it like clearing a garden. When you remove the weeds, you create space for flowers to bloom. Walking away from a man who doesn't meet your standards is like pulling those weeds. It's an act of self-care that paves the way for growth and beauty. And trust me, The right man will appreciate the garden you've cultivated. Here's where Dark Stoic Psychology becomes your ally. Walking away isn't about proving a point to him. It's about proving a point to yourself. It's about mastering your emotions, maintaining your dignity, and staying true to your path. The Stoics taught that happiness comes from living in alignment with our values. By choosing to walk away from what doesn't align, you're embodying this principle in its purest form. Let's explore what life looks like after walking away. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, like stepping into the unknown. But soon you'll notice a shift. Without the emotional weight of his games, you'll feel lighter, freer. You'll have more energy to invest in yourself and the people who genuinely uplift you. And most importantly, you'll rediscover your own power. Here's a practical tip. Write a letter to him, but don't send it. Pour out everything you've been feeling, every frustration, every hope, every disappointment. Then, read it back to yourself. This act of reflection will help you process your emotions and gain clarity on why you're choosing to let go. Once you've finished, destroy the letter. This symbolic act will reinforce your decision to move forward. Finally, let's reframe what it means to walk away. It's not an ending, it's a beginning. It's the start of a new chapter, one where you're the author, the protagonist, and the hero. By choosing yourself, you're creating a story that's worth telling. In the end, deciding whether to stay or walk away is one of the most empowering choices you can make. It's a moment of truth that defines how you value yourself and what you're willing to accept. Trust that whatever choice you make, as long as it aligns with your worth, is the right one. And when you choose yourself, you can never go wrong. Stay strong, stay empowered, and always remember, your value is non-negotiable. The best is yet to come. Ladies, this journey we've taken together is not just about navigating the frustrating dynamics of a man playing hard to get. It's about rediscovering the immense power you hold, the power to choose, to set standards, to demand respect, and to create a life where you are the priority. Whether you've been chasing, compromising, or doubting your worth, this is your moment to take a stand. These are not just strategies, they're principles. They're a roadmap to becoming the high-value woman you're meant to be, someone who commands respect, inspires admiration, and attracts connections that uplift and empower. Remember, the essence of Stoicism and Dark Stoic Psychology lies in mastering your own reactions and refusing to let external forces dictate your happiness. Every time you choose to prioritize your peace, your growth, and your dignity, you're embodying these timeless principles. And in doing so, you're not just navigating relationships, you're redefining them on your terms. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this thought. Life is too short to settle for confusion, games, or half-hearted efforts. The right man will meet you where you are. He'll value your time, respect your boundaries, and cherish the privilege of being in your life. Until then, focus on becoming the best version of yourself and trust that everything else will fall into place. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What was the most eye-opening insight from this video? What's one step you'll take today to reclaim your power? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're all on this journey together, and your story could inspire someone else. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's continue building this incredible community of high-value women who are rewriting the rules of love and connection. Thank you for watching, and remember, the best is yet to come. See you in the next video.